Today is Friday and I completely changed what we were going to have for dinner, but I really wanted to grill. It is so nice outside. We're going to eat outside and go for a walk. We are having some grilled barbecued chicken breast, and then I grilled these potatoes. I have a short video on a couple different ways to grill potatoes, and this is one of the ways. I'm having the sweet potato and they are really good and so easy. And then I grilled some mango. I've actually never done this before. I'll record it in some video eventually if it's good, but I basically just cut the mango on the sides of the pit and then scored the mango, and then I drizzled it with a little bit of honey and squeezed lime juice on there. So hopefully it's good. It sounded good to me. I just kind of thought of it. And then we're having some green beans. Today is Sunday and I made the Santa Fe chicken without the chicken. I have the recipe recorded, so I will put the link below. You can make it vegan if you leave out the chicken and then use vegetable broth instead of chicken broth. It's good with the chicken too. And then I have half an avocado with mine. Today is Monday and I made my coconut chicken with the honey mango dipping sauce. These are so good. I have the recipe recorded, so I will link it below. It's super, super good though. And I made some roasted Brussels sprouts. I have a recipe recorded for those, and it has a sriracha aioli with it. So I'll put the link for that below as well. And then I did some potato wedges in the oven, and I showed you how to make those. So I'll show you how to make those now. I'm going to show you how to make potato wedges in the oven. They're incredibly easy. They're really not anything worth making a whole video out of, so I thought I would show you, but I just thought of it, so I didn't show you how I cut the potatoes. But I think I had 5 medium potatoes, and I cut them into wedges. You want to try to get them about the same size. You know, sometimes potatoes are of different size, but if you can try to get them of the same thickness, that will really help. So I just put them all in a bowl. You can really do any spices in your potato wedges. It kind of depends on what you're serving them with. I've done, rosemary, I've done chili powder and cumin. You can really, play with them. This is just a basic recipe. We are having coconut chicken and honey mango dipping sauce, and then I'm going to make a vegetable with it as well. So I'm not going to go too crazy with the seasoning just because of what we're having. But you're going to need some olive oil. I usually do a couple tablespoons of olive oil. I have my herbs over there. I haven't planted them. They look a little crazy. I need to get some pots. But anyway, you're just going to do a couple tablespoons of olive oil, and that will make them get nice and crispy. And then I'm just going to do garlic salt, pepper, and a little bit of smoked paprika. If you don't have this in your spice cabinet, you definitely don't have to get it just for this recipe. You could leave it out. You could put a little bit of paprika in, or like I said, you could, play with the spices and do whatever you want. This just gives it a nice smoky flavor, and you're going to season them really well. So of course you don't want to over salt things, but you need a pretty good amount of seasoning for these potatoes so that, you really can taste it. Okay, I seasoned mine really well. I didn't really measure. You're just going to want to eyeball it and then mix everything together really well. And I do have my oven preheating to 400 degrees. You're going to want to grease your cookie sheet really well with olive oil spray or whatever you like to use, because the potatoes will stick. Even though they have oil on them, they will stick if you don't grease your pan really well. So you do that, and these are cut a little bit thicker, so they probably will take about 35 to 40 minutes to get really nice and crispy. You can cut them a little bit thinner if you don't have a lot of time, but that's really it. And then you're just going to pop them in the 400-degree oven. I would say flip them about halfway and they're good to go. Super easy. Okay, here are my potatoes after about 20 minutes. You'll just want to flip them around a little bit, make sure they don't stick to the pan, and that way they're going to cook evenly. Okay, here are my potatoes after about another 20 minutes. So you can see they're getting nice and crispy. So I'm going to pull them out of the oven. Today is Tuesday. I was going to make black bean and corn enchiladas, and then I realized I didn't pick up any tomato sauce. I was going to go to Aldi and decided to wait, and that was one thing I needed from there. So I just made black bean and corn quesadillas instead, which they should be pretty good. I have avocado on mine, and then I made some pico de gallo, and then I made some brown rice with red and yellow bell pepper sauteed in there with garlic and onions and some spices. Today is Wednesday, and I made brown rice spaghetti with an awesome pasta sauce. It's sort of like a primavera. It has lots of vegetables in it. I like a lot of sauce on my spaghetti, and this is just one serving, but I'm going to show you how to make it. It's super easy, and you can really add whatever you want to it, but you'll see you can really add a lot of vegetables into marinara. I also made this spinach salad. It has spinach, mozzarella, and sun-dried tomatoes, and a really good vinaigrette, and I'll show you how to make that as well. Give this a try if you like those ingredients. It's really, really good, and I just kind of made it up one day, and we've been having it every once in a while. I made some really easy garlic toast, and I talk about how to make that. It's super simple, and I have a little bit of shredded Parmesan cheese for the spaghetti. Okay guys, this is very impromptu. We had a man working in our kitchen, so he left and I can record this, but we did just move in about a month ago. We have no window treatment, so I really can't do anything about the sunlight coming through and everything. I am making marinara, and I wanted to show you how to make super easy marinara that is full of vegetables, delicious. I have some orange and red bell pepper sauteing and some olive oil. I use probably about a half of each, half of a pepper, just what I have left. And when I make marinara, I usually just throw in a bunch of stuff, like whatever I have in the refrigerator. So I'm going to do peppers, onions, and garlic, and then I'm also going to add spinach in there, because you can really add a lot of spinach to dinners, and it shrinks down so much when it's cooked. Okay, so I let the peppers cook for a couple minutes, and then I sliced half an onion into little wedges and added that. You can chop it up really small if your kids, are really picky about big chunks of vegetables. I'm just kind of showing you how easy it is to make marinara. And you really can throw anything in here, and it's delicious and super quick. I really like to saute the vegetables first so that they get that really delicious flavor, and this also helps you don't have to let the sauce simmer as long. So I just sauteed the onions for a couple minutes, and then I'm going to add the minced garlic. I'll probably do 2 to 3 cloves of minced garlic. Garlic burns really easily. Obviously, it's a lot smaller than the pieces of pepper and onion, so I usually just saute the garlic for like a minute. I added my garlic, and I'm just going to cook it for another minute like I mentioned. These are nice and sauteed. And I drained a big can of tomatoes. This is a 28-ounce can. You could do close to 2 pounds of fresh tomatoes and just chop them if you prefer. I like to use organic tomatoes. It's one of the things that I pretty much always buy organic, and they are expensive, but I can get the can of organic tomatoes at Aldi for a lot cheaper. So that's why I usually just use the can. And I'm going to pour those in and just saute those for a little bit. I probably used like a tablespoon or maybe even a little bit more of oil when I started out with the peppers, and I had the heat on medium, and you can always turn it down if it's, cooking too quickly, but I usually just saute these for a couple of minutes. And I wait to put the spinach in because the spinach cooks pretty quickly. And it is going to simmer. You notice I haven't started the pasta yet because I'm going to let all of it simmer while the pasta is cooking. And I need to add the basil and oregano and salt and pepper and all of that too. Once you've let the tomatoes saute for a couple of minutes, you can add your spinach. Now you'll be surprised if you've never cooked spinach how much it wilts down. So you can fit a lot into a pasta dish and you know, it really cooks down a lot. So I usually just leave it, you know, as the baby spinach leaves. I don't really need to chop it because like I said, it's going to wilt. So I add a few cups of it, at least 2 cups, and just mix that in, and it's going to wilt a lot. And just kind of, you know, stir it in a little bit. Look at all of those bright, beautiful colors. I just added a handful of coarsely chopped fresh basil. I love the smell of basil. It smells so good. So I'm just going to mix that in, and then I'm going to add some oregano and a little bit of salt. You could add some red pepper flakes, which I'll probably do if you like a little bit of spice. And it really is just to taste. I would say add at least a teaspoon of oregano. If you happen to have fresh oregano, that would be great too. And then probably just a teaspoon of salt. Okay, and then I just mix everything in, and I kind of let it come to a boil just for a minute or so you can turn the heat up. And then I'm going to add my tomato sauce just so that it has more of a pasta sauce consistency. And then I'll just let it simmer while I make my pasta, and I'm going to do some garlic bread and salad as well. I'm just mixing in an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. And you can always add more basil or oregano or whatever. Just taste it as you go and see what it needs. Sometimes if your tomatoes are too acidic, if it tastes too acidic, you can add just like a teaspoon of sugar, and that will cut down on that a little bit. So definitely taste it and see what you need. And then mine is good to go. I'm going to give it a taste and maybe add a little more basil or whatever. And I'm just going to let it simmer while I boil my pasta and put some garlic bread in the oven. I am melting some butter for my garlic toast, and I made this salad. It is very simple but so delicious. This combination is so good. I have a bunch of baby spinach. You don't have to measure, it just kind of depends on how much salad you want. I have sun-dried tomatoes. Again, I just sprinkled a good sized handful over top, and then I cut some mozzarella into cubes and sprinkled that. And I'll show you a very easy vinaigrette. You don't need a lot of dressing because there's so much flavor from the sun-dried tomatoes and the mozzarella. And I never measure, so it'll just be really impromptu. Okay, I have about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and then I did about 3 to 4 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. Once you mix everything together, you can taste it and add, if it doesn't taste right, you can add, you know, more vinegar or more oil or whatever. I'm going to add a little bit of honey. That gives it a really great sweetness. So probably a teaspoon or so of honey. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make 3 different things and record and everything. So this is very impromptu. For the dressing, like I said, it was 2 tablespoons of olive oil, about 3 to 4 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, and then I added a couple tablespoons of finely chopped fresh basil. You can do dried basil if you have that on hand. I added a little bit of oregano, probably not even a teaspoon, maybe like a half a teaspoon. And then I have this garlic salt grinder, and I added a little bit of that, maybe close to a teaspoon. That will give you some salt and some garlic, so that's nice. I'm just going to whisk it together and taste it. Usually I have to adjust it. So if you try it out, you might have to add a little more honey or a little more balsamic vinegar, you know, whatever, just to adjust it. Like I said, this isn't really a recipe. I just, you know, make it up every time. And it isn't going to make a ton of dressing. So this isn't going to be enough for like a regular salad. This particular sun-dried tomato and mozzarella salad, it really just doesn't need a lot of dressing. So this isn't going to make a ton. Okay, I tasted my dressing and I added just a little bit more honey just to give it a little more sweetness. But definitely taste it, use those ingredients that I mentioned and just kind of play with it until it tastes right to you. That is the key to cooking. We all have different preferences and I just taste as I go all the time. And then that way it's going to be well seasoned and it's going to taste right before you just dump all of the dressing on the salad and you're like, oh, this is too vinegary or too sweet or whatever. Just taste as you go. I'm sorry, I'm trying to record too many things at one time and make dinner and not burn anything and all of that. You know how it is when you're making dinner anyway and you're trying to do 3 different things, and I'm trying to record this impromptu style. So anyway, I did the garlic toast. This is incredibly easy. I just have 6 slices of the 7-grain bread, I think it is, from Trader Joe's. I melted some butter and brushed it on, and then I put some garlic and oregano on there. My oven's already preheated to 400 degrees, and then I just leave it in there until it gets nice and crispy on the bottom. It's super easy. My guys love it, and you can do this with leftover hamburger buns or whatever. It makes really easy, simple, quick garlic bread. Okay, my salad is all set. My garlic bread is almost done. My pasta sauce is still simmering a little bit, and my pasta is boiling. All right, the pasta is almost done and my sauce is simmering. Definitely give yours a taste because now is the time to add a little more seasoning if you need it. Mine tastes so good. I wanted to say peppers in pasta sauce, oh, it's so good. It gives it like the best flavor. And if you have family members who don't really like peppers, you can chop them up really small and just let the peppers give your sauce a really good flavor. All right, I'm going to finish up here. Okay, my garlic toast is all set. It probably took between 5 and 8 minutes, closer to 8 I would say. Just check it and make sure it's nice and crispy on the bottom. And my salad is all set. I added my dressing and it is so good. Definitely try this salad if you like sun-dried tomatoes and mozzarella, and there's, you know, the basil and the dressing. Super good, very simple, but awesome together. And my pasta just has a couple minutes. Today is Thursday, and I made these sweet potato corn cakes. They're showing up a lot darker on camera. I made these a while ago. This isn't my recipe, but I will link it below. They're really, really good. And it makes about 12, and then I made some sauce to go with it. There is a recipe with the sweet potato corn cakes, but it just has yogurt and garlic, and I added extra garlic, cilantro, chives, and a little bit of sriracha, and it makes a really good sauce. And then I made some creamy coleslaw and a really easy cucumber salad. It's really hot in our house, and we just wanted something kind of cool and refreshing instead of something really heavy. So all this is cucumber slices and tomato, and then I put my homemade Italian dressing on that, and I do have my Italian dressing recipe recorded, so I'll put the link for that below.